Hi, EDU 250 students. This is Dr. Legler, and I wanted to give you a preview of week 12. The topic for this week is how can we uncover student differences, which you will find in chapter 4. Before I go through some things related to this week, I wanted to just say that I realize that some of you might have technology or internet access issues. If that's the case and you need some extended deadlines for an assignment or two, I'd be happy to work with you on that. Just let me know. The reason I'm keeping the assignment deadlines as they are is that if I set everything as like May 5th as a deadline, I'm afraid I'd have too many students all trying to complete everything at the last minute. So this will just, the deadlines the way they are, kind of help keep you on track. But I'm happy to work with you as far as flexible deadlines up to a certain point. Really, after about the 5th of May, I have to start getting grades in. All right. So this week, definitely want you to read about and look through this infographic on multiple intelligences. So that you can see how your students are different. Every student has different strengths, and it's important that we design lessons and assessments that include more than one or two of these strengths that you see here. Also, I'd like you to complete what are my learning strengths. It's kind of a learning strengths inventory. You'll check every statement about yourself that is true, and then you'll record your total score for each category. Once you have your score, you'll see which learning style you are on this table, and it'll give you some suggestions on how to help yourself become a better student here at Wayne State College. So let's say you have an active learning style. It might be beneficial for you to study in a group in which members take turns explaining different topics to each other. When I was a high school teacher, I used to give my students a learning styles inventory at the beginning of the year. Now, this is something that you could do with late elementary school students, maybe third, fourth, fifth grade, all the way up through high school. And what that information will give you is the learning style preferences for each of your students. And that can be really helpful when you're planning out your curriculum. When we lesson plan, it's important to differentiate instruction, which you'll learn more about in EDU 275. Basically, there are many ways to differentiate instruction, but one of them is to differentiate according to learning styles. So let's say students are learning about World War II. Well, I could, on a particular day, I could group students according to their learning styles, and then have a learning activity that relates to each particular learning style. So let's say I have a kinesthetic group over here, I have an auditory group over here, a visual group over here, and I plan a learning activity that has the same rigor or amount of effort required for each group, but the actual learning activity looks a little different for each group. So for example, the kinesthetic group might have something more hands-on that they're making, whereas the visual group will have something a little different that relates more to visual learners. In Chapter 4, you'll also learn about gender bias and gender differences. I would like you to watch both of these videos because we have some assignments coming up, which you'll see in the to-do list down here, we are not going to have an online discussion this week. Okay, I would like you to read chapter 5 and 6, which we will cover next week. Make sure that you complete your instructional plan, which I reviewed last week. That is due on Sunday, April 19th. And then there is task 5, which isn't due until April 26th. I'm going to click on task 5 and just go through it. I'd like you to choose an educational psychology issue that is relevant to you, that you have an interest in. And then you're going to find 2 journal articles on the issue. Remember that our Wayne State College librarians are there to help. So if you need help finding a journal article, please let them know. So you want to focus on when I say a journal, it's not a newspaper, it's not a magazine, I would focus on peer-reviewed journals, okay? So maybe after I go through this, I'll help you learn how to find peer-reviewed journal articles. Then you're going to explain your issue in a manner that demonstrates understanding of the key components, okay? You're going to articulate your view on the issue, so you need to explain how you feel on the issue, and then provide a justification of your view through appropriate evidence. So the 2 journal articles that you found, you will support the claims you make with evidence from the articles. Okay, so if your opinion is, let's say you give an opinion on something, well, support it with something from one of the articles. So it's important that you provide APA references for the 2 journal articles you used. Okay, best way to do the APA references is you can Google APA references, or actually I would do Purdue OWL APA, and here's the APA style guide. This is what I've used over many years to do APA. So down here it shows you how to do reference lists for different things. You would be using a periodical. That's a journal article. All right. Okay. Now, when you go to the library webpage, I'm just going to do Wayne State College Library. You want to go to Research down here, and then you can go to Research Guides, and then you want to find the link to subject guides. So we want research related to education right here. Okay, so now I'm in the education articles and databases, and here's some different databases with journal articles that relate to education. So a couple of them that I would focus in on is perhaps the psych articles, since it relates to educational psychology. You can also go to Education Source and ERIC. Okay, so let's say I go to ERIC. All right, and I can just put peer-reviewed only. Okay, and I would do full text available so that you can get access to the article, the full articles. Peer-reviewed just means that before the article was published. It was reviewed by a group that provided feedback to ensure that it was quality. So let's put an educational issue. How about let's put gender, okay? All right, so here's a bunch of articles. I would really focus on articles within the last 10 years, okay? And then I'm going to go to gender differences, all right? And you can just scroll through and publication type. I'd probably want to stick with journal articles, okay? And so I'm sure you can find something from there. Please let me know if you need help on any of your assignments coming up, and I hope you have a great week.